to please welcome Mr. Red Wemette.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Hello, folks. Today is July 24th, 2023, and we have Joe Celozzi with us again. Say hi, Joe.
How you doing, Red? Well, I'm back again. I look a little different, Red, so maybe they don't notice.
Yeah,
Hair.
you look good.
A little rest helps. But I'm great to be back. A lot of positive. I got some people emailed me, commented, and enjoyed it. And you know what? I love it. I love your intro. And as I talked about, it's a pleasure to be on. You know, it's like when you're with somebody who's been around, you're a little older than me, so just a little bit. So you know the ins and outs back in the day. So I love it. I mean, I wish I could be here more. Thanks for having me.
Well, we can do things every Monday if you want.
Yeah, I told you I'm ready. I'm ready. As I mentioned last week, Red, I've been asked. I've been on a couple shows uh, for half hour, an hour, and it was just I was uncomfortable because I'm not a I'm not there's not a platform for me for either. So I tell my story, okay, and since then, since last year, a lot of things have risen. There's movies coming out, um, stories, family, so there's a lot of things to talk about, and of course, my memory's coming back. Hey, good, Sean, he looks happy.
Sean Pender,
Yeah, he looks very happy.
he's one of our
But
regular viewers.
is he? Well,
Also, so is Tim.
how you doing, Tim? It's it's good. Yeah, nice. One thing about you, you have a nice, a loyal group. You know, I would rather have 100 loyal people than 1,000 people coming in and out. Right? They're
I
coming in and out.
agree.
Sometimes it's not the quantity, it's the quality. And you're like the mobologist, like a lot because you're in behind it, in front of it. So people don't understand. So it's like a Catholic and it's like two different religions, right? In a way. So it's hard. I enjoyed, when I read your book and I knew who you were. That's a story in itself. And you're probably one of the first pioneers that did that. Think about it. When you started your thing, who did that? Nobody. I think you set a fire.
Not
Everybody
me.
did it. You know, but then everybody wanted to do it, right? So no, I like it. I like the fact that you're knowledgeable. That's the key. Very knowledgeable. And when I watched you before,
Speaking of
you were
knowledge,
spot on. Yeah.
speaking of knowledge, uh, where's it at? Hmm. What can you
We talk.
tell me about this man?
Okay. If somebody that know or don't know, that is David Mamet. Now, Oscar nominated. He's a Tony Award Broadway. He did House of Games. He's done Glenn Clary, Glenn Close. Remember that with Al Pacino, Oscar. I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking this guy Hannibal. He's directed or produced. I have to say, personally, he's probably the Quentin Tarantino of the '80s and '90s, early '90s. Would you agree, Red? That famous and still is. He's legendary now.
I
If I
didn't know
mentioned,
who he was. I know his films.
well, let me tell you what. He's on Joe Rogan last year, millions of views. So he's on Joe Rogan podcast that he doesn't have just have anybody. And
We'd
if
be
you look at
lucky.
all,
We'd be lucky if we could have him, Joe.
yeah,
If we could have the
and
show.
and dude, with my brother's movie, there's a good chance he'll be on here to promote the assassination, which I'll get into uh, after we talk about this gentleman. Well, how he became on board with it was 96 to 3 days. It comes the movie is about 3 days before JFK was assassinated. Now, there's all these conspiracy theories. Everybody's got to take on it. Well, he's friends with my brother Nick. My brother Nick produced Giancana, right? He produced a bunch of movies, like 27 movies. He's just did The Class in Chicago with Debbie Gibson, I mentioned, and Anthony Michael Hall, right? And he's done tons of movies.
Yep.
Well, this David Mamet, he sent him the script over. He liked it. Now it's a factual script, and you know how it works. You know, you're not gonna get 100%. It's not gonna be 100%. Okay, but I'm sure it's gonna be close. Casino wasn't 100% red, was it? No. Was Casino
No,
100%? Okay.
no,
Um,
nobody
all right.
is.
Good. Okay, it's probably 60%. But anyways, make a long story short, he liked it. He said, "I want to rewrite it with you." He got a lot of research. Now, everybody knows the Freedom Act, and more people have come out in the last 10 years, 20 years. Be okay. That's a big help. Okay. That
The
worked
freedom
for
of
him.
information. Yeah.
You know, and so everybody knows I'm not into conspiracy theories. I'm not. You know, I'm into factual. You know, I'm not always to the right side, to the left side, but the last 10 or 15 years I grew up. I see what's going on with social media, what's out there. There's misinformation, but there's information too. Okay. And I know the government, they can put misinformation out, you know. And now you see people, listen, why is it? Let's think about this. The greatest prosecutors, the greatest people that go after bad people, they go on their own practice, right? When right, they all go on their own practice. There you go, Robert. Where you always save more money. Yeah, that's good. And why is it? And then they become defense attorneys. My dad had Dan Webb. He was U.S. prosecutor. He used them. I had Bill Von Haney, and Jeffrey Cole was my attorney. Bill Von Haney represented Don Angelini, the Wizard, in San Diego. Remember when they put back in the 80s,
Yeah.
right?
The Indian
Reservation,
the
reservation,
casino. Yeah.
and the judge, even though they lost the case, which that's unheard of, the judge wanted to make a statement that his whole 20 years as a judge, he never seen a professional etiquette lawyer in his place. He said he dazzled him with knowledge, professional. Bill Von Haney. Oh yeah, top lawyer, Jenner Block. The judge was enamored by him. He lost the case.
Jennifer Block only had top attorneys.
Yeah, right. And then Jeffrey Cole, who worked for Dan Webb, right? All these guys end up going defense. Now they're supposed to be career, go after the bad guy. Okay, once they build their reputation, look at Giuliano. He went after the bad guys in New York. And what is he doing? Criminal. I mean, he got law license pulled. Okay, why? Okay, and he's putting that theories out. And let's just say, you know, the bad guys could be on the other side too, as we both know. Okay, but having said that, all the information coming out, David Mamet liked it. He liked it. So he's a smart guy. Now, if anybody knows movies, here's how it works. Distributors decide where your movie's going. You could do a big movie. If they don't take it to a theater or whatever, try to sell it after it's over. You sell it
That's like Cry Freedom. That's like Cry Freedom.
That's right.
It's
Right.
not getting
Okay.
pushed like it should.
Yeah, here's the rule. Here's how you do it. You say this. I got Al Pacino, John Travolta, Shia LaBeouf, Courtney Love, and Viggo Mortensen, right? I'm director David Mamet. Right away, it's going to 1,300 theaters. Cannes Festival invited it. Cannes, which means it's big, okay? So this is David Mamet's comeback. He got a little radical about 10 years ago in Hollywood. They pushed him out. You know, whatever that was, he became like oh, you can't say that, right? And they're very cliquish there. But anyways, so he obviously talked to Pacino. He knows them all. Pacino did movies with him, all right? Joe Montagna, Criminal Law. Joey Sosa, Godfather 3. He's from Chicago. Great actor. He liked him. I mean, David Mamet's from Chicago. He's from North Side originally.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is his breakthrough. This is his movie that's going to be big. Now, I looked at the magazines, okay? When he decided Al Pacino came up, Al Pacino and Travolta and Viggo. When I saw that there's 47 magazines from Hollywood Reporter all the way down. This title, I never seen that before. David Mamet, big crew. And British credit came out. I just read it. Oh, David Mamet's got a big cast. I couldn't understand the guy. He's British, real thick. He pronounced my brother's name Celozzi. I couldn't even sound name wasn't even right. And he goes, "This is a big cast, right? Like the Irishman in a way. They had 4 or 5 big names there, right? Same kind of thing." Well, not knowing David Mamet or knowing him how he's going to write it, and he'll tell you when he comes on here. I talked to my brother. We'll get my brother for sure on here. We'll get him on here. We'll get Courtney Love on here. We'll try to get all of them on here. Believe me. Okay. I'm gonna try to get you and I to go to Ontario to be on the set, and we'll film live from there. My brother would do it. This helps him out. Okay. This is
We have,
what we're getting.
we
at.
have a question here for Jim.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but my dad
Did you?
knows you. No, his brother's an attorney in Chicago. Did you ever? No,
He's got a
no,
question mark after it. He doesn't know.
no,
That's why
no,
he's asking.
no. But no, never heard of that. Yeah, where's Joe from originally? Where's Joe Montana run from? Where's he from originally?
California, I think.
That's right. Yeah, he's got that.
I-
Yeah.
49ers.
Yeah. Well, I got pictures. I don't know if I showed you. I got pictures of Montana when he came for the Italian American Sports Hall of Fame. Him and Dan Marino. Dan Marino came to the dealership. I'll tell you a story about Dan. That's another time. But this was back in the '80s. Okay, he came and but Joe Montana, he came there. You know, anybody Italian that made it. You know, so George Randazzo, and it was interesting. Mary Lou Retton, we honored her.
Chicago used to be so great. It was a great city.
Yeah. And if you're half Italian, we honored you. Mary Lou Retton was half Italian. Scott Boitano, the skater, we honored him. Tony Danza, we hired him, honored him. There was a lot of guys. You know, we invited all the other ones, Stallone, Pacino, De Niro, but no, they didn't come. You know, we gave them the offer. You get an award, you know, because that
I
people.
was surprised to find out that what's his name? Knocked the battery out. Bob Conrad.
Okay.
He lived on Marshfield, on the south side.
That's right. Now, I'm glad you mentioned that. It all stems from this. Bob Conrad, I believe his real name is Conrad Falk. Okay.
Mhm.
Right. Bob Conrad was friends with Tony Splatro from Chicago. Michael and Tony. He's from Chicago, right?
Yes.
When Bob was in Hollywood, Wild Wild West, he had his big break, Bob Black Sheep. When my dad went to Michael, who went to Tony back in 1981, could you help Nicky Celozzi out? That's what Legitimate Wise Guy. That's what that movie's about my brother's relationship with Tony Splatro. You can Google it. And they put that on hold till after. That's when Harvey Keitel's playing my dad. Harvey Keitel says playing Nick Celozzi Sr. Well, he went to Tony, and I mentioned this last week maybe. And Tony got him with Bob Conrad. He was a young guy. He says, you got to shadow him, right? Drive him to restaurants. He was like a porter in the beginning. He was the best known unemployed guy. My brother, he met everybody. He was nobody. He's a Bob. Went to Farrah Fawcett's house, Ryan O'Neill's, anybody's place, but he was nobody. He just was driving Bob. Bob goes, this is my friend Nick Celozzi from Chicago. He's an actor, right? That's basically what it was. Well, and he did help him with a few like Hard Knocks. And after Bob Black Sheep, you know, is Bob still alive? Bob Conrad? Is he
No,
still
he
alive?
passed away. He passed
Okay.
away
Was it-
2021.
Okay, he was a bad car accident, right? Yeah, that's
No,
what did it.
heart.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. He had a stroke. That's right. He had a stroke. I could talk then. He drank. My brother said he drank a case of beer a day. He could drink 15 margaritas and talk. He didn't get drunk. My brother couldn't believe it.
Talked quite openly about his beer.
Yeah,
said,
but
"I
he could drink.
Beer all the time."
Yeah. When they did Magnum PI, my dad, Michael, flew out there to Hawaii. You saw the picture.
Oh
And
yeah.
I mentioned it. That's when he was helping him. Bob was helping my brother at that time. My brother was at Bob Conrad's house up in the mountains in California. You couldn't, it was hard to get up there. And when my brother had argument with Bob on his airplane, Bob flies, right? Little Cessna. I don't know if you knew that. And they're
Used to.
coming back. Yeah, they're coming back from a wedding, right? And Bob's manager made a comment to my brother, like, well, you got the girl's phone number, Bob's girlfriend. He's married 6 times, 5 times. And he joking, like, got the girl's phone number. Now you lost the part for the next movie. Well, you don't say that to my brother, Nick.
No.
Yep. That's disrespectful. So he punched him. He grabbed him behind the neck in the airplane. He goes, and Bob goes, whoa. Hey, guys, cut that out. So they landed, and my brother knew it was over at that point. So about a month comes out, you know, he calls Tony. True story. He says, Tony, Bob's, you know, give me trouble. What? He says, come out here. So he drove from California to over there, which was there twice a month, 3 times a month, sitting with him, talking. That wasn't good either. Brought a lot of heat to my brother. The FBI was there talking to waitresses. Yeah. His manager at the complex. Yeah, just for that. They want to know what's going on. I thought that was weird, but they did.
Tony always
And
had on him.
Yeah, and I walked. When I went saw him, he said, "Do not take a car, and don't bring anybody." Well, I brought a friend of mine. I didn't mean to be this. Put him over there, in the corner. We didn't talk no personal, nothing. But anyways, so now Tony calls Bob Conrad. I go, "Oh, that's over it now." He goes, "Listen, you little bastard. I told you to help this kid. Well, he can't act. Well, he says he could act. He could act. He could act. He's making excuses up." And Tony goes to him. This is exact words. "You can't act either, and you made it." Tell Bob Conrad, you can't act, which is sort of true. I mean, he plays a tough guy, the macho guy. Remember, Nick hit the battery off my shoulder. Ever remember the battery commercial? It was in Wild West, Bob Black Sheep and Black Squadron. And as I said before, Red West was in there. Elvis's bodyguard.
He talks about in his interview. I watched his interview on YouTube here.
Yeah. And I was friends with Joe Esposito. We know the story.
Oh, yeah.
Get off the track. Joe's brother, you would know this, Frank, who had porn. He had porn shops. He had bookstores. Frank Esposito, with the owner of Admiral.
I'm well aware of that.
Okay. All right.
That was back in my day.
Right. So my buddy just passed away, Joe Aneka, whose father married Dom Cortina's daughter, which was Angelina's partner, right? Dom Cortina, Joe Nagol-Ferriola, and Angelina, right? The three of them at the book picking. So he married the daughter. He just passed away, but he was partners with Frank Esposito, whose brother was Joe Esposito, right? That's how I met him. So when Joe came into town, I might get off the track, 25 years ago, because Trent Carlini was playing at the Allstate Arena. Trent was paying him, show up. Elvis's road manager walked him on stage. Trent, whatever. He passed away a few years ago. Trent did. But I gave him a car to use. I gave him a Ford to Joe, and we became friends. So he wrote the book Good Rockin' Tonight. He met Elvis in the Army, so he lived a long time. But Frank Esposito was his brother. But anyways, get back to Bob Conrad. All right. So Tony calls him on the phone and says, "I told you." Tony didn't yell like that they show in the movie.
No, never.
No, he went like this. He goes,
he may have used sharp words, but he never yelled.
I didn't. I knew him a couple times. Did you know Michael Magnifici, my father? I knew Michael. Michael and I don't talk anymore for no reason. About 5-6 years ago. But his father, I never met. My dad knew his father. His father was Jack Cerrone's right-hand man, who did a lot of work for Jack. You never heard about him, but he did kind of work he did. He did the work that
heavy work.
German did heavy work. The German did, Harry Allman did, those kind of guys, right? So, but
he's a hitman.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say that, but Lee was a gentleman. My dad liked him. My dad used to meet him at a restaurant Friday nights to have dinner. Just a gentleman, class act gentleman. Did I know Ralph and Guido Esposito? That's interesting. Ralph Esposito, that's a common name. Guido, where would they be from? That's interesting. Are they from the South Side? Ralph Guido. I know Esposito. I know Esposito, the Espositos, but there's two different Espositos around. They're my age. Don Chicha Pizzola. He's got the LL in his name too, like mine.
For my regular viewers and prescriber.
Don, thanks for coming on. Red's the best guy. I'm gonna get everybody I can on this show. We're gonna have it once a month, special guest. So Bridgeport, okay.
Bridgeport,
car guy. Okay. Yeah, I thought so. Okay. I heard of them. Yeah. They've been around a while. Bridgeport was Frank Emperor. Well, I knew La Pietra's son-in-law, Frankie Peaches Emperor. He worked for me. I don't know if anybody know that. I had Calabrese, both Calabreses working for me, salesman. Frank and Carl. I had Frank Imperato, La Pietra's son-in-law. I had the chief of police of Melrose' son, Ronnie Bell. Yeah, the Union, George Klutz. He's a tough guy. George played handball. Yeah, I know him. He's passed away, I believe. I used to see him at the restaurant in Melrose Park. What was it called? It was a little house. Ori's. Frank Oriamo's place. But tough. Hey, Joe, Joe, yeah, how you doing, Jerry? But yeah, Frank, I knew Joe Colucci. He's got a brother too, but tough guy, connected guy. I mean, the guy didn't smile much. He'd smile. I was scared of him. I go to say hello at the restaurant. He like this. How you doing, Joe? You know, nice guy, but that his emotions were inside. I get back to the story. Sorry to get excited. Um, so um, he says to what's it called? You got to get him back in. I want the kid to make it. He goes, I got enough problems.
Tony says this to
to Bob Conrad. He goes, Bob, I got enough
Okay.
problems. At the time, he had the 2 indictments, federal indictments over his head. Remember, he had 2, bonded out for 100,000. He just got open a surgery. Remember that he had the stitches over here. I didn't know that. The angio, whatever, but I saw stitches here. He was smoking, which I was shocked. But anyways, my brother goes, Bob's not gonna listen. Bob's gonna help me, but it's gonna be like, I'm done. Yeah, Tony, I'll do it. Well, I tell the story, I'll say it again. What's that? Chicago Joe, 420. That's it. But I'll tell you what happened. When I went to the wake, I went to Tony Michael's wake. I took a different car. I walked down the block. That makes a difference. The caskets were closed, of course. They're in the church. And I swear to God, I don't know if this is disrespectful. I don't know if I was being funny. I said, there's a casket missing. They, what do you mean? My brother's career. He's dead too. I said, because they burying these 2 guys. Nobody's going to help him in Hollywood. Like Tony's, he won't have the muscle to get it, right? But he made it. My brother made it. He directed, produced Slaughterhouse Rock. He produced the first with Devo, and Tony Basil started it, right? And hey, Catherine, beautiful. Well, you guys got good-looking people on this. Look at the show, right?
He's out in California, out in Bakersfield.
Wow, my brother lives in Calabasas, I think. Yeah, he started in Brentwood, but Calabasas. But make it okay. So he helped him, and then those 4 or 5 years he was with Tony was rough. I mean, he brought heat on you. I tell this story on the same. It was gonna probably be in the movie. I had a bar in Berwyn, Cicero, right? Oak Park in Cermak. It was called Mario's. It was a pizza place. I wanted to
You
make
own
it.
that?
No, I bought it from them. It was called Shake, Rail, and Roll, right? I just bought my T-shirt. Somebody's selling it on the internet. Listen to this, Red. I look at Mario. That Mario Lanza married the sister of the brother there. So that's his brother-in-law. He died. That was Mario's. Isn't that weird? So Mario Lanza. Okay, so they call it Mario's. I knocked the walls out. I made 50, 60s. People have asked me, do I own that? They own the bar in Berwyn. Remember Jukebox Saturday Night?
Oh,
They
yeah.
came out. Right. Okay.
That was Jimmy Rittenbach.
No, Rittenberg. Jimmy, he had faces, Jimmy. Right. He was part of it. That's right. And very good. And with Steve Schusler, a Jewish guy from
That
New
was
York.
all part of our crew. That was part of Grand Avenue.
They took care of me. Let me tell you what. I went down to the warehouse. I got all this. I'll tell you the big thing is I got the Elvis in a casket robot. You'll love this. But anyways, I open up there. My friend put all the machines in there, right? My friend, $15,000. 2 guys walk in. After about 2 weeks, I'm open. Hey, buying drinks. And they come and talk to me. How you doing? Welcome to the city. And talking. He goes, who does the vending here? Oh, I said, I got that already. He said, well, the vending before, he goes, look, new machines. It wasn't a company that anybody knew. It was an independent guy from Schaumburg, right? He goes, are those your machines? I go, no. I said, a guy that I don't say names. Guy, he goes, well, we're going to put our machines in here. And I go, they're new. He said, we'll put better machines. It's 50-50 split. The poker machine, and whatever. And I go, and then it clicked. I was 23 years old then, right? I go, oh, I said, get the fuck out of get the F out of my place, right? Like this. And he goes, what? I said, it was tough. Yeah, I thought it was tough. I get the out, not like that, but a little worse. Next morning, my dad pages me. Joe Celozzi, showroom Joe. What did I do? Is that we had buildings separate, I had to walk to his building. He goes, get in my office. He goes, did you throw 2 guys out last night? I go, what? He goes, you know what I'm talking about. I go, oh, yeah, there's a company in Cicero, right? He goes, listen, they want to bust your head. did you disrespect them? I said, well, I threw them out. Can't do that. That's their area. Berwyn, Cicero, they'll close you down immediately.
That
You'll
was
have it
part of the
rated.
system. That was
Right,
part of the
right, right.
system.
Well, right. So what happens is the boss over there calls my dad, knows my dad personally. Hey, Nick, is that your son over there in Berwyn? He goes, yeah. You better tell him. You know, I'm calling you out of respect. You know, he's mouthing off to these guys. They want to punch him. They want to beat him up because he disrespected him. He goes, what? He goes, you mean he doesn't have your machines in there? He goes, no. So listen to this. So they come in. He goes, listen, you might as well get out now. If you don't put these guys' machines in, you're on your own. I got a courtesy call. If they didn't know, you would have been the cops. It would have been over with. Pulled your license, you know. And I go, all right. So Orlando is in there. Ayupa's not right hand guy, but he's at Ayupa's house. You would know better than anybody. If you're allowed on Ayupa's house, he was allowed. I was in the driveway. He was in the house. He must be somebody, right? If you're allowed to walk in Ayupa's house.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, I didn't ask questions. I was a young kid. He's waiting in the driveway and don't look at the window. He doesn't like the way you look. The old man's like this scowling with those glasses, you know. So, okay, that night, a truck pulls up, opens the door. Hey, Joe. I didn't even know the people's name. How you doing, Joe? They take the machines that are in there, my buddies, roll them all in the back, up against the wall. There's barely a little room for it, right? And they bring their machines in. Here comes Orlando. How the hell did he get in here? I was shocked. My old buddy, my older guy. He goes, hey, I got everything handled for you. What? It's all taken care of. The two guys are coming now. He goes, shake their hand. This is Joe. He made a mistake. So he shook my hand. I said, I'm sorry. I didn't know anything. He said, I know the split. He said, they're going to give you 5,000. I go, I don't need 5,000. They're going to give you 5,000 and they'll take it out of your half. You have to pay back like $100 a week. So if I make 250, I'll get 150 till I said, I don't need that. He goes, give him the 5,000. He took 2,500, Orlando, the old man. That bastard. He took half of my money. I got 5. He goes, here's 25 for you. And 25, this is my buddy. He goes, you're always getting money from me. I'm always buying you dinner. He tells me. I said, whatever. You can have it. I don't care. You know, whatever. It's peanuts.
You know,
so
Joe,
I open up.
Joe, I on that same subject,
Yeah.
on Wall Street downtown.
Yeah.
I used to have I had my own machines, and when they came out with all my machines were mine, 100%.
Oh, they were. You didn't buy them from
they came out with Joker Poker, and
yeah.
And these guys pulled up with a trailer, and they had all different kinds of machines, jukebox, and they put my jukebox out on the street. They started moving my pinball machines and games out on the street, and they were going to put a Joker Poker in. So I came down from upstairs, and I said, what are you guys doing? And he said, oh, we're putting our machines in. And I said, no, you're not. And I took a side cutter, an electrical side cutter.
You're out of your
and
mind.
I clipped the ends of their cords off and put them on the street. And they said, you're making a big mistake. And I said, look, go to whoever sent you here and tell them what happened. Okay, go to whoever sent you. And so they got the drift that I was connected from that, from just saying that. Because I didn't get violent or anything. I just said, go to whoever you want to go. Tell them what happened. So they did it. They never came back. They never came back. I put my machines in. After that, JL was talking to me. He said, you have any problems with your machines? So I said, no, everything's fine. And he said, good. That's all.
Wow.
So that's kind of what happened with you. They went to somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, everybody knows the old man. They all about their cars. You know, people don't understand is my dad worked, he was young. His friends, Figurata, all them, Big John, Bobby, those, Porcelino, they all went that way. My dad stayed in the car business, right? He didn't want to do that, but he was friends with him. So he respected him, he hung with him all through his life, right? The best one is he takes Figurata on a Friday night. He's 20, I don't know, 23 years old. And he's marrying my mother. Knows nothing. He goes to Rush Street. They stop at all the bars. Bobby picks a bag, puts the money in the bag. Don't say a word. Goes to Cicero, drops the bag off. Made $100 for 3 hours. Not bad back then, right? $100? That's big money. So turns around, looks at my dad, and he said, do you know who you're marrying? My dad goes, no, I don't. He didn't. He goes, okay. Why? Who am I marrying? Oh, you'll find out. So about a week later, my mother goes, I'd have to introduce you to my uncle, my mother's brother. She goes, yeah, he'd like to meet you. He goes, really? So they go to a park. He's wearing a robe, eating Chinese food. Sits down, very, very nice. He said, you marry my niece? He said, yeah. I'd like you to get married at Social Club downtown, whatever it's called. I forgot the name. He goes, no problem. He said, get the bread here, flowers here, no problem. Get the invitations here, no problem.
Everything's from somebody that's connected.
Well, his brother had the envelope company, that for 30 years. It was, the envelope company, printing company. I forgot who owned it. My grandma worked there for 30 years, his sister Mary. So he says to him, what do you do for a living? He said, I sell cars. A couple of years. I love it. You want a job with the union? Because all my uncles were projectionist unions, right? He goes, no. He said, I like where I'm at. He said, you own a couple places, right? A couple clubs? He goes, yeah, I do. He says, could you get me a job managing them? And he started laughing. He goes, if I give you a job managing one of my clubs, you won't be married very long. You'll be divorced fast. And he started laughing. So he said, okay. now, okay, fast forward to the wedding, right? 500 people there. He was there with 10 guys, no wives, right? His brother, Pepe, poured him liquor, no bartender. They brought their own liquor in. You never know, right? Poison. And he's like this. He's walking around, he's shoving it around, right? Now, you're older than me. What do you think the average boost was back then? Now, I could tell you, my dad said there's $5, 10. That was a lot of money. If it's a family member, 20 would be pushing it, right? Rents in Chicago were $25 a month. Gas was pennies. A movie was 11 cents. Get a movie, at the theater. So a home was 12 grand back then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anywhere from $5 to $15, not more than 20. Okay. Well,
I used to watch them throw the C notes in. They were always throwing $100 bills in.
Well, it's funny you said that. So my dad gets the boost, right? He tells my dad after the wedding, he says, somebody's going to drive with you. We'll be in the car with you and Carol. Somebody will be following.
So nobody takes the money.
Yeah, my dad wasn't thinking like that, right? They go to the house. The guy walks in. He didn't know the guy. He had the boost. And he saw the guy walk out, and the guy drove him back. So they counted the money. Now, this is what I was told. Each guy gave 100. You're right, $100 bill. All 10 guys, 9 guys. He gave 1,000.
Wow.
$1,000. Yeah. So that was back then. And every year he would go by the house and he would give each sister an envelope, right? My dad go in the basement. He had the cigars, really nice place in the basement, little kitchen, but nice guy. He didn't know I was 23 and but as far as, gentlemen, I mean, he looked older. Of course, people looked older back then than they do now. I never knew that until high school. I knew Frank. You probably know the guy, Mooney's right-hand man. Well, they came from the 42 gang, but his right-hand guy lives in Wisconsin, right? I'm not going to mention his last name. His son works in Hawaii. He had white teeth, 5'2".
Mike used to be a Chicago police officer here. He said, Michael Graham.
Wow.
On the
How about that?
And we participated in a search warrant in Chicago twice, VCD,
Right.
I believe. And they were picking up poker machines from at Ogden and Hubbard. Wow.
Wow, yeah.
That's where Jimmy
wild.
Ogden and Hubbard. 1978.
Wow.
Jimmy Couture. First made guy I ever met. Jimmy the Bomber.
Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about made guys. But get back to the thing though. So I was trying to think they give me a boat. No, listen to this. I get a spot at the Playboy Mansion in Lake Geneva, right before it closed, right across from the Abbey, right straight across. They gave me a spot right on the deck. The boys did. Frank did. I go there next day. I can't see my boat. I'm sort of naive. I'm young. He goes, your boat's on the buoy out there. I go, how do I get to it? You got a little canoe, little boat, and you paddle to it.
A dinghy.
Yeah, and I go, I call Frank. Frank got me the spot free. What? Stay right there. 20 minutes, he's in pajamas. I see he bought a little car from us. I think it was a Nova, but no, maybe a Cavalier. You know, he comes flying down. It's early in the morning, right? Probably 7:38 and or maybe 8. The harbor master. I guess I see him from Joey, back over there. Stand back. Like, get away from there. So he's like, I swear to God, I saw him put the guy up against the thing. This is 1981, maybe 80. And he goes, I didn't hear it because the door was closed. And I could hear him going. Next thing you know it, Joey, get your guys, bring the boat over. He'll be here. Guys, shake this guy's hand. He apologizes. He didn't know better. He didn't know. He apologized. And I said, oh, I'm going to start the relationship out like this. And I'm thinking, never had a problem. But that was back then, early 80s, right? So,
Yeah.
That's the kind of like thing I had. But you never run any stories with any of the blue cherries. Yeah.
Hey, Joe, you haven't run into any stories with Blue Cherry?
You mean Thief? Thief? Yeah. Because I knew his son over at the Hawks game. He used to go to Tefano's all the time. I mean, I could say some stories, but there's the family's still alive. The son my age, I don't want to say too much, I don't know if it's good or bad. It's probably good, but I'll have to talk to you about it.
Joe, I know you were telling a story, but tell us how you're related to the Giancanas. So it's not confusing.
Okay. Obviously, my mother, my grandmother, that's her brother, Sam. Okay, the three sisters.
Your grandmother, who was married to who?
No, my grandma's brother, Sam. My dad married my mother. So that's his mother-in-law. That's his uncle by marriage, like you said. And it's my mother's uncle with DNA. I got the blood,
So how does this succession go down? She was married to Sam?
No, my grandma Mary, her brother Sam Giancana, Mary. My mother's Mary. The name is Mary. So my grandmother's brother. That's who Sam Giancana is. My grandmother's Antoinette is my mother's first cousin. Right? Okay.
So then make her second cousin.
Second cousin. Right. That's right. People say, "Oh, you're not related." Well, I'm not bragging about it. Why would my brother do all the movie saying the grandnephew of Sam? Why would you put that everywhere? That was, But I had a couple people called me last week, and I had to put it. They posted. I talked to Joe Celozzi. It's a fact. His mother's mother was Sam's sister, Mary. And I'll tell you one more better. My grandmother, my mother's mother, married. She couldn't find a guy, I guess. She was 25, 26. That was old back then, right?
Oh, yeah.
My grandmother, right.
That was called leftovers by that time.
Well, I don't want to say that. She was a beautiful lady. Let's just say this. She was a beautiful lady as my grandmother.
But then back in the day, that's what.
But let me tell you this. Sam found a guy for him from Kansas City. There was 3 brothers, Del Bonos. 2 of them got sent back to Italy. So he was a good guy. They're mobsters. They were killers. Our government sent him back out, sent him home. And she married. She didn't use his name, Del Bono. She used her name, Fragi, her mother's maiden name. See, she didn't want to use that name. Red. Oh, married Buccieri. Which one? The sister? Are you married to the sister or the? He's married to Buccieri. What family? They're all good-looking people too.
Which part, RV Doc? RV Doc's a regular viewer.
Buccieri, he was supposed to be the boss. You know that. Thief was supposed to be. He died of cancer, right? Him and Turcarella.
Just saying hi from Tiger Town.
How you doing? Yeah, wow. They said that Turcarella, he was supposed to be the boss before Ayupa. Is that true? Or when Mooney left?
Yes.
Turk.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the guy, right? And
he was
they would say he was the man. They say he was the best. I never met the guy, but I knew his son. He's my age. He used to go to Blackhawk games all the time. When I had the. But anyways, get back to that. So that's how I'm related. 1961. 1961. Listen, right? It's
so by the time you were 20 years old, I was way gone in business by then. I was in my 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that business in the 70s, there was X-rated movie theaters, adult bookstores had a bad thing. Yeah, very powerful. He was the man. Turk. Yeah, he's right. He's right. He was supposed to be the boss. If he didn't die, I think he died of cancer or heart or something. But I never heard that guy there was the man. You know, I just he was they were in the bookmaking, weren't they? Wasn't his crew bookmaking? Red, they were
Mostly,
killers, right? Were they
well,
killers too? Well, everybody has to kill, I
well,
guess.
yeah, they were both.
Yeah, yeah. But as most crews had certain. Everybody's got a killer, and the boss has his killer, right? What was Castellano? Sammy the Bull was his killer. Paul Castellano, right? True.
Well, that was
So
his underboss, his right hand man.
underboss, yeah, and and I don't know if I told you this. I heard that when they killed I don't know if I asked you this. When they killed Castellano, somebody big came to Chicago and talked to. It was right before Cerrone went away. It was right around that time. I forgot, and they said they had a little meeting, and you can't kill bosses. It's not good for us here in Chicago. When they see people kill a boss, and Castellano was on a commission. He was a commission, one of the five. That's not good, you know. And he only killed. So they didn't like Chicago. Didn't like that because
No,
you start killing bosses. Where's the rules? Where's the law? Right?
everybody stayed in line in Chicago. The
Yeah,
only bosses that I knew that got clipped, knew about getting clipped, were
yeah.
because the young Turks were coming up, the younger guys were coming up, and they figured that Tony Carlo was smart. He said, "Give it to them. They're our future. They're our future."
Yeah, yeah. And you know what the mistake they made in New York? They said, well, they didn't do drugs. Here's what their theory was: they brought it in through the ports and got their money. They didn't deal it, but they somehow let it in. They didn't want to screw with it, but they allowed it in. So what's wrong in Chicago? If you had money and the guy was buying drugs with it, making you money, kicking up, they didn't care as long as you weren't dealing it. If you gave borrowed money, about 100 grand, the guy's rolling it, making that. That has nothing to do with them. They don't know. That's more or less they don't want to hear about it. Like, I mean, but
That's
but what
dirty money. That's dirty money.
and also too, remember a lot of guys. I didn't know that Tony was doing cocaine. I didn't know that. I heard it in the movie.
I did. I
And
did.
Michael, I'll tell the story. I'll tell the story, and I don't really want to tell it, but I'll say it. Michael tells my dad when I had the bar in Berwyn. He goes, Nick, I heard what's going on in your son's bar. Now, Berwyn Cicero, you always have a little guy in there dealing, whatever. I don't know. He goes, that's not, he goes, they're dealing out of your son's bar. And I think your son's hooked. That's way out of line. I didn't hear about it right away. I get to dinner. I call Black Sunday. Nobody was there but my mom and dad. And I ran into a guillotine. I ran into a hole in the floor. Tell your mother what you've been doing. Tell your mother this was just an investment. This place. I wasn't living there. I had a guy running it. And he goes, "Tell your mother you've been doing." And she flipped out. And he goes, and the old man, I saw the beast in him. He went like this. He says, "I'm telling you right now. I'm talking to you as your boss." And okay. Was it true? Maybe. Was I? No, not like it sounds. You're gonna die. You're gonna die, right? I'm a young kid, 24 years old. He goes, if I hear them, you're done. He goes, you can come over Sunday for dinner, but it's over. Then Orlando comes to me, Ayupa's guy. He goes, hey, I talked to your dad. Are you, no. I go, Berwyn's Berwyn. Cicero, it's not the greatest area, right? Come on, 3 o'clock license. And he goes, okay. I've been around you for 5 years. I never seen any of that stuff. I said, oh, please. And then I found out who told him, right? Not far after that. And I go, wow, Mister, I'll take care of it, Nick. Okay, he wants to be his friend. Okay, what does he do? And then when I saw the movie, I went like this. Holy shit. Because he narrates it when they got out of control. Remember what they said? And then I've heard stories about he was partying all the time. I never knew that. I never heard about that. And I was shocked. The guy goes and bags my ass, right? If he was doing it, he could have came to me and said, listen, I heard some things. He came to me at the bar when my brother had the fallout with Bob. He grabbed me. Come on, let's go in the bathroom. He grabbed my arm. I thought I was in trouble. Pulls Michael. Pulls me in the bathroom. It was a Friday night. He goes, I got to talk to you about your brother. They had him and Bob. and he's saying this, saying that. I said, tell my dad the truth. Tell him what's going on. Bob don't want to help him. And I said, my dad's going to tell you right now to tell Bob to get his limousine out of the back spot. He goes, they had a fallout. And I said, just be honest with the old man. What's the difference? Don't feel bad. Right.
No.
And I guess he did. So and I ate a Hoagies. I had my engagement party at Hoagies. I rented the whole place out on Friday night, 150 people. The first girl I was engaged to, right?
I think they were throwing coke out of hoagies, weren't they?
What? Yeah, probably, yeah. Everybody was scared of the phones in there, not to talk on the phones because it was bugged. Listen, you know what? Okay, my dad went to Hawaii with him and my mom and his wife.
By Tom Selleck.
Yeah, he was drunk and he went to give his, my dad grabbed, they fell off the golf cart at a golf outing in California. Michael and my dad, Michael was drunk. My dad rolled down, all his money's out. It's just, I mean, he was always, he wanted to be an actor too, Mike. If you Google him, he's got an IMDb number like me. Michael does. They show what episodes he was in. I saw it. I saw it on Magnum. My brother's on Magnum. He was on Texas Walker Ranger. He played with the guy from Scarface. The guy who plays brother. What's his name? Bauer. Stephen Bauer. The guy who played Al Pacino's in Scarface. He was in Texas Walker Ranger. They played Cuban guys. My brother and him. Karate. My brother's a black belt in karate. So he got a little part for that. That was back in the late 90s. And he was on Hardcastle McCormick. He was on the A-Team. He was on all those stuff because of Bob, because of Michael, or because of Tony helped him.
Right.
Listen, you're raised around those people. They don't. Well, the bad part is, I remember was buying. Maybe a lot of your listeners know this. Back in the 80s, they used to come with trucks to businesses, speakers, TVs, radios. You open the truck and you buy them. Right? They're boxed. Now you didn't ask no questions. Okay, suits, ties, shoes.
They used to come by my house and they'd open up the door on the truck, and it might be a rental truck. It might be a rental truck, but
White,
if they open up the door on the truck, what do we got for sale? And they sell speakers.
That's right. Those big speakers. Would you believe this is true? I bought a couple Saturdays in a row. Didn't really know the guy. I swear to God, 2 weeks later, my manager calls me building I'm living in. Says, the FBI was here. I go, yeah, ask questions about you if you're fencing hot goods. Wow. So that guy was being watched. They saw him pulled by Celozzi. They see my ass, right? Lifted the thing up. And they didn't go by nobody else. But they came by my house. I go, she didn't know what fencing meant. See, I asked him what fencing. She goes, I never seen anything around here. Would you believe that? 2 times. I get, right? That's not right. I mean, but that's the damage you do when your friends having dinner with these people. You know that. You're hanging around and you get, I'll tell your listeners, you hear stuff about people, you read things that's never true. It's not true. I wish I did the things people said I did, and I wish I didn't do. Like, if there's
know what I say, Joe? You know what I say all the time?
Yeah.
I've been saying this for years. You don't really know how bad the papers and the news are until they write about you. Until they write about you, then you know.
Red, back in the 90s, you know the story. They spent $2 million. They had 9 agents come from Washington. They did investigation on me. They bought cars. It was like they infiltrated. The guy bought cars. We sent the forms in. They went to union. I mentioned before, the produce union and forklift union. The acting president, who took over Sinise's job, they blew the mother's porch up. Remember that guy in the 80s? Sinise.
Yes.
Right? Okay. My buddy, best friend, was running it. He was acting president. He bought cars. They were in there, right? And then they were coming to me. And then he brought the guy around. I didn't know him. He tried me for everything. I said, buddy, I have a bar in Palos Park. It's called Celozzi Fifth Court. I pay all my taxes, even the coins on the rubber machines. I pay everything. Hey, this is Chicago. Don't be asking questions around here. There's cops everywhere. He goes, really? He comes to work. He presses a button of the car. The back seat goes down. Can you find one of these? Right. I go, well, where'd you get this one made? I go, where'd you get this one made? I like to find out because I want to sell them on the showroom floor for old people. He goes, really? I go, yeah. You put the purses in there? He goes, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I go, I don't know what you're talking about. This is all tape. And can you hook me up with it? I said, dude, I don't screw with that stuff. I said, So eventually, at the end, my doorman brother was Blind Louie from Rose Park, mob guy back in the day, and he asked him, "How's your brother Blind Louie?" He didn't know who he was. He goes, "You're a cop, aren't you, Nick?" He comes to my house 2 o'clock in the morning. He goes, "This guy's been around you 13, 14 months. He's a cop. Why?" He asked about Blind Louie. I go, "I haven't done anything with him." Well, after a month of that, after that, it closed up, and I went to boot camp, but it was horrible because they had all these things and questions and Michael Tony, all that came back. Why are you hanging with this guy? Because they feel that normal people, if they're with somebody that's not good, they're benefiting. Because they know those people don't hang around people for nothing. They know that, right? You got dinner with them.
What I used to notice was that whenever you went to a dinner or a gathering or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
everybody did nothing but gossip.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, so and so. Oh, yeah, so and so. They're talking about
Listen,
people.
listen, Red, and the fact that my dad was on TV for 40 years and he was married to Sam's niece. Well, how did he get that dealership? Sam must have put the money in at 60. He came out of nowhere. No, there was investors. Dick Fensel Chevrolet, and Madison, he backed them. The guy Larry Malafont on Booker Country Club. Yeah. So they bought him out after 4 years. So it was not like that.
No.
Oh, okay. I used to watch these guys' cars. They're friends. He's been friends since he was a kid. So he's still
You were
friends with them.
bankrolled by the mob. Your dad wasn't bankrolled by the mob.
No. But he's connected. He did this, he did that, or his son stole 50 million and this and that because of the stories. I wish to God that listen, it's almost funny because when that happened, I was on the front page, right? Automotive News front page. We're number one. Nobody talks about that. We were the number one dealer in Illinois for 25 years. Out of everybody, Toyota, everybody. We were number one dealer in the United States 1 year for General Motors. Okay.
Wow.
We were number 5 out of the 500 largest dealerships in the United States. Number 5. Okay. Nobody talks about that. A Chevy store, right? Nobody talks
They
about
don't talk
that.
about the good things. All they talk about
Right.
is the bad things.
Right. Or the FBI wants to know
Or
why
they
they have.
think it's bad, or what
Yeah,
they think
well,
is bad.
Okay. Why do they have? Okay. I went to the restaurants. Sure. They opened a new restaurant. I went there. My dad and I. We ate there. They had good food. Right. That's not. Everybody does that. I didn't. They didn't talk about what they do. I didn't know
No.
what they did. Okay. So I liked them. They were nice to me. Hey, okay. With a problem, Berwin. Maybe if it wasn't my dad, knew my dad, I could have a problem. They would have came back and probably end up closing me up. Whatever. Who knows? But it helps. When that happens. But whatever they decide to spend, because they're funny people. Now I'm going to tell this story. This is public. Okay, I had one thing left. My buddy Orlando, he wanted protection in DuPage County. Now I brought him to Orlando. Okay, he's nobody. He's on the bottom of soldiers if you get a book. And he goes, I want $15 a week. He wasn't given no protection, but they spent the money. They spent it to see where it goes, right? They knew he was nobody. Well, about 4 months later, we found out, we heard the tapes, but he gets called from Sam Carlisi. Sam's his buddy. We built his house in Bartlett. He did. They're friends since they were grade school. Sam bought cars for me. His son Joe bought cars from me. Great guy, super guy. He calls him on the phone. He goes, "What's with you taking money from this guy? You're brutal. Would you buy pizza and food he deals with you?" He said, "He's my guy. No problem, Sam." Well, we got the tapes. And that saved me. Because in the tapes it said, whoever brought him to Sam. He said, so we've been paying. Well, Joe Celozzi brought me Orlando Vestudo. I've been paying. How much you give? $50. Because Joe Celozzi has no business taking money from nobody. He's a car guy. In Orlando, he bought pizza. He can't do nothing. They are not part of the organization. He goes, they're not part of the organization. They have nothing to do with us. You got had. That saved me. We got the boss saying that well, I'm not gonna get in trouble, right? And start paying us. But see, that saved me. That saved me because I would have went for that. I ended up signing a 6-month extension so they could indict me. Dan Webb. Oh, you gotta take the fall. Dan Webb, you gotta take the fall. They spent all this money. Blind. I said my statute runs out Friday. He goes, yeah, here's the extension, 6 months. And they had nothing on me. I was stupid. He goes, well, your dad, Blind. My dad had nothing. We fell for it. And then Bill Von Haney told me, yeah, they were out last week golfing. And they said, hey, Dan hired all those guys, right? He just left it. A year later, he goes, listen, we spent a lot of money, whatever performance we got, it didn't go well. Come on, let the kid take the fall. The union guy lost his job. He had to go. He lost it. But worse than that, before it hit, they wired him up against me to buy more cars. Yeah, I said, no, try to come there. Yeah, because they were so desperate at the end, right? And that was 30 years ago. But I see and I read comments that story still thinking, oh, he grabbed this. First of all, I worked for the old man afterwards, right? If I did that, I had a good relationship with his partner. I would never take anything. Here, they came to me after we did 4 cars. I know he sent the forms in. I told him he wouldn't, but Edelson sent the forms in. They didn't know it yet. He goes, here's 5,000 a car cash to me for not sending the forms in.
Commission,
said,
huh?
Yeah, I said, first of all, I would never do that to my dad's partner. I made enough money. Please, thank you. I gave back to him. At first, I couldn't take it because I sent the forms in. That'd be stupid, right? So, not that I would take it anyways. I'm just saying. And I said, thank you. Well, that's in the wire. That's 54 hours. So everybody read that. Oh, wow, he didn't even take money. See? So all that stuff here, the guy, I promise you, the guy come out of the bathroom, red dinner with Orlando and the agent, right? And there's other agents all around. There's always 5 or 6, hanging around, eating outside. And the guy comes out of the bathroom. Swear to God, Red, you'd love this. He goes, this, I'm eating.
What restaurant was this at?
I'll tell you what it was. It was, I think Gennadi's we were at. Maybe. Yeah, he goes like this. He goes this. He goes, I didn't say a word. I'm eating. He goes this. He just come out. He goes this. Like, want me to say, what you want me to say, hey, what he got, right? I don't do it, right? I didn't say a word. I looked at my buddy. I go, and he would do that every time we went out to eat, like saying that, hey, right? I wouldn't say a word. Well, when they talk to 40 people after, they ask everybody, does he do drugs? Every person, they go, no. 3 girls that live with me. I never see him do it. If he does it, he does do it in front of us. They're mad. And then, as I told you before, they all wanted to know why I do Elvis. If anybody doesn't know, I used to impersonate Elvis. It's in that movie, Hidden Obsession. You can Google it. It's actually has me as a IMDb number as Elvis, 1993, with J. Michael Vincent and Heather Thomas from Fall Guy with Lee Majors. Remember Fall Guy, Lee Majors? And so, make a long story short, they want to know why I did Elvis. Now, I just figured out why they asked everybody. They want to get a profile on me, right, Red? Why is a guy who works for his dad, his name's well known, why does he do Elvis? Like, does he have a personality disorder? Is he empty? Is he doing it for the money? Like, they couldn't understand it, right? Well, I finally figured out I did Elvis to escape from being me for the few hours. Those 2 hours on stage, I could not be Joe Celozzi, because I was raised in a bubble. Your dad's on TV, everybody's telling him. I never thought that being on TV that people have this right or something, Yeah. It's like it's not a good thing, For 25 years, every time a girl I went out with, oh, which one of the Celozzi boys are this? Everybody had a story. It's weird. Yeah. And like it went from extreme mafia crap, which is crap, at the other end. I mean, there's no reason. So I've told every girl before I went over, here, you can hear this about me, you hear this about me, and this. Stories. And none of them were true. So when you read all this stuff about people in the paper, it's not true. Mine was 100 years and $3 million each count. I did 6-month boot camp and $100,000 fine. Okay.
Here's a comment, Nick.
You did Elvis in Johnsburg? No. Johnsburg, where is that at, Johnsburg? Would that be south?
That was
I did Elvis for 3 years.
That was Casino did that.
Oh, no. I did Elvis in oh, no. Maybe. I don't think so. I did Elvis at the Celebrity Lounge in Vegas at the MGM. The little place to see 6 people. Red. I was there. But I did Elvis at the Grant Park Italian Fest, Melrose Park Fest.
Yes.
I did all those. I did well, I don't know if you remember the Empire Carpet commercial, Mr. King. I was the Elvis guy sitting on a chair on a throne, and I go like this. Hello, it's Mr. King. I just don't get out much, and I'm talking Elvis on the phone, ordering carpeting, right? The Graceland.
He's talking about Johannesburg out by Fox Lake.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did that. I did Elvis out there. Yeah, I did on the beach. I was on the beach. Is that the one? Yeah, I did on the beach. It was for a party. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I did. This is about 30 years ago, probably 31 years ago, maybe something like that.
Don Cheech says, "Don't you wish you had just 10% of what they accused you of taking?"
Oh, you're exactly right. You know what? The only thing that you know what? You're right. You're exactly right. I just don't. It was drugs. It was gambling. It was never no drugs. It was never like that. But they did say he portrayed himself as a gambler and drug dealer. And you know what? Every time I bought those cars, I said, Nick, you got real estate, don't you? Yeah. Well, you can show it. I always said that. But they changed the law. If you didn't know this, in '91, they said it used to be where if they tell you before you put suspicious, right? But if they tell you, hey, I'm a drug dealer gambler, take my money. This is where the money came from. Well, that's where there's a problem. Okay. Even though we sent the forms in, right? Even though we sent it's a weak deal, and that scared the vendors, the furniture stores, the jewelry stores, right? The boats, because guys saying if they tell them, hey, look, buddy, I got this cash. I just bookmake out in the next county. Will you take this cash that came from here? Well, that's obvious, but that's when you can't take it, right? But they changed the law back. They put it back because it's wrong. I mean, it was a $500 fine before, but we sent the forms in.
What
the
is
law?
law?
States anything over $9,000, $900, you have to send the forms in. We did. What I did was I put $900 a day. I showed increments, but we still sent the forms in for 40. But I showed him it was only that you could do that because I made it look like I was doing. But Maury sent them all in.
Payments, 5 payments.
Yeah, every day I put 9,900 in, 9,900, 99 to show that. But when we sent the form in, we sent it for 40, not 9,900. So we did the right thing. Otherwise, they would have been fined. Them, the people in the office. I wasn't. The car business. I was a manager. I'm not charged of forms, right? That's not my job. But the fact that I said
the guy in the finance office handles that.
Yeah, and funny you said that. They checked out 50,000 deals, not one cash deal. And worse than that, Red, I'm glad you brought that up. They took a guy that was in prison, Melrose Park. He worked for us 10 years earlier. I was a kid. I was like 19, 20, right? No, it was 14 years earlier. He goes this. He says, I run into him at Marion. He says, you're not going to believe this. You got to talk to me. He said, I know about your case. He goes, I'm in jail. I'm in prison. They took me out 3 o'clock in the morning. Didn't know where I was going, to Washington. They sat me down. What can you tell us about the Celozzis? You worked there. He goes, yeah, 13, 14 years ago. I don't know. I haven't seen him. And he goes, I'm sorry, boys. You wasted your time. And then he goes, why do you think the kid does Elvis? He goes, yeah, he did Elvis. He goes, yeah, you're right. He did do Elvis. He goes, I don't know why he does it. Why don't you ask him? Well, can't you tell us there's a reason? He goes, they asked me why he did Elvis. I go, wow. He goes, I told him the truth. They're straight people. He's got a partner there who's a CPA who's by the book. You got it all wrong. And you wasted your time. But this is how desperate they were. Somebody that worked for you 13 years in the finance department, though. You said finance, you're right. In the finance department. So that's not right. And so whoever said something is wrong. So, yeah.
The presence out in Fox Lake was big. And the reason I know about it, Schweiss was always telling me, we used to sit a lot in my apartment. And Schweiss was always telling me about Rittenberg being out there and Fox Lake. And yeah. Everybody put a home out there.
Yeah. Jimmy had Faces. Anybody know about Faces? And 59 West. And
59 I used to go there.
Yeah.
I used to go there.
Yeah. I said that was nice. And yeah, that was late 70s, early 80s. Look at Joseph.
80s.
80s, right. And I used to go to, you remember the Evergreen Park. Remember Evergreen Club? Remember? Antoinette bought it. Remember Antoinette owned it for a while? Giancana? This is after this back, like the late, it was 70s was hot. Disco. It was a disco, right? And then it was closed and she bought it or leased it, whatever, she called my dad. I don't know if you know this. She called my dad 7 months ago at the restaurant he's at in the morning. He has breakfast or coffee or tea every day. He's there 7 days a week. And she calls him. It's weird. And she says, is my cousin Nick there? No. Now that's a stretch for her, right?
It sounds like her. That sounds like Antoinette.
Well, I'm going to tell you another thing. So he said, Nick, can't you tell your son to stop doing the stuff about my father? And he said to her, your sister's involved. Your sister's involved, right? Look at it. Because I know she's pissed because she get no money. She's not part of it, right? Worse than that, 14 years ago, my brother does the Sam Giancana, Momo. You can Google it. It's a hour doc about his family. The
Documentary.
two
She didn't get a
sisters.
reaction on that.
Well, you're gonna love this. The two sisters are producing it. My brother's on AM radio talking about it. All of a sudden, she calls in. She must have heard it. It was freaky, my brother said. He goes, Nick, I got your cousin, second cousin, and Antoinette. Say hello to your, yeah, Nikki. How you doing? Why do I keep writing about my dad? And he goes, your sisters are involved. Why don't you guys worry about your businesses, your car businesses, and not worry about my dad? Yeah, she gave him a dig. At that time, my dad just, sold out, closed up north. And she threw that in there, right? Maybe if you're more worried about your car business, you'd be worried about that. And there was no problems in the car business. 32 years together. The hospital bought the property. It was time for them to, my dad, my dad wasn't feeling well at the time. He had prostate cancer at that time. Nobody knew, but he beat it. He did it. But, 35, 32, 33 years together. It's a long time. There was no fallout. People said, I caused it. No. There's no truth there. First of all, Mr. Celozzi is a gentleman. He's a classy guy, an honest man. You know that my dad for 35 years never looked at a checking account, never looked at a balance, ever. True. He trusted him. And Maury never questioned him. So they both ran. One ran the office, the money, and my dad ran the sales. And they got along. And
good combination. Joe, would you like to come back next Monday?
Hey, listen, I want to come back every week. I got some, now that you shook up the past, I got some other stories to tell you. And then I want to talk about, my brother said he's going to come on the show. We're going to set him up. And then you and I are going to go to Ontario and we're going to do a live broadcast and we'll get everybody on there. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah, that's going to be great. We'll plug that for 3-4 months. Yeah. Maybe we'll do a special guest and come with us. I'll ask him if one of your top listeners or 2 people, we'll have them come as a special guest. That'll be great. Yeah, that'll be great. Yeah. I want to get Travolta on here. John Travolta. I want to talk to him. I knew Joe, his brother Joe. My dad's in a movie called Dumb Luck in Vegas with Joe Travolta and Jeff Conaway. That's his script. My brother's in the movie called Dumb Luck in Vegas. And Jeff Conaway, Joe Travolta, and Kelly Emberg, Rod Stewart's girlfriend. He had a baby with her. She's in it. Blonde, beautiful blonde. And Sopranos. The guy that's in Sopranos. He's in there too. So,
well,
right,
Joe,
I'm ready for next week. Hey, thank you for having me on, Red. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, I love your show. You're factual. That's the thing.
We love to have you, Joe. Really.
I love to be here. I'm ready to come back and we're going to start bringing some people on. Why not? Okay. This is the best platform. And I thank all your listeners. You guys are great. I can see why you're with Red. Because he's, you know what? He's no bullshit. He tells the truth. You want to hear the truth? Listen to him. True.
Thank you, Joe.
All right. Take care, everybody. Appreciate it. See you next week.
The combination of the videotapes and Wemette's testimony resulted in the conviction of 2 men on extortion charges. One of them was Frank Schweiz, known in syndicate circles as the German, a feared mob terrorist and a suspect in a number of gangland murders.
He was described to me by other outfit individuals as the most feared hitman. And as he said to me, my reputation precedes me, son.